ready to crank up the volume because you're about to enter the realm of rebels and rock stars. Unleashing the thunder from down under the stage. We're diving deep with a deviance of melody, rhythm, and chaos. Now push up your sleeves and get ready to dive into the pit. It's time for Sitting with the Slimy Bastards, Music Edition.
Here we are. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Sorry about that. I'm doing awesome. How are you today?
Good. It's nice seeing your face again. It's been a hot minute. So
Yeah, I'm stoked to hear from you. It's a beautiful, sunshiny, like 65-degree February day in Vegas, so no complaints from me.
so you're back in Vegas then, so people know. I mean, that's originally where you're from. The band
Yeah.
is from Las Vegas and that, but you did live. I mean, I'm back in Iowa, but you guys did live in Iowa for a little bit too,
Yeah,
didn't you?
we actually have a house out there still. We bought a house out there about 15 or 16 years because it was about a tenth of the price of Vegas.
Uh-huh. Right.
And we're hardly ever home because we're always on tour. So we're like, man, we're just paying for stuff to sit empty. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
we looked on the internet anywhere in the United States under 60 grand just to see, and we bought a huge house for a tenth of the price of what you could get one for in Vegas.
Sure.
And but it's too cold out there right now. It's like 10
Yeah.
degrees in Iowa. So
Well, today it's actually pretty nice. It's like 50 some degrees here today.
Oh,
So it's
yeah, and
it's a
that's a
lot better.
big swing. It was like 10 like 2 days ago, last time I
Yeah.
checked. That's a big
Yeah.
swing. That means everything's mud now, right now.
Yeah,
We have
pretty
that,
much. Yeah.
we have that
Yeah.
real dark, real rich brown soil in our backyard where you could grow a nice garden. And we've even grown stuff
Yeah.
back there before, but everything winds up always dying off because we leave for tour and then we come back.
Right.
Except for like the hardier stuff like potatoes and carrots and,
Uh-huh.
cucumbers. They go because
Yeah.
it rains enough out there. But we
Right.
love Iowa. People always ask, they're like, why in the hell would you move from Las Vegas, entertainment capital of the world, to small town Iowa? And we're like, I'll tell you
Yeah.
exactly why. So we could afford to still do Hemlock, because when you
Right.
don't have a house payment, back in the day, you could get a record deal and you could actually like make money and tour and
Right.
travel. Nowadays, you have to get rid of your overhead so you can afford to tour. It's so
Right.
stupid, but that's why we did it, was for the band. We moved to Iowa for the band's sake because
Yeah.
there's 4 dudes in the band, and if everybody's paying $1,000 or $2,000 for 3 months to sit empty while we're gone on tour, that's just
Right.
ridiculous. So we bought a house
Yeah.
out there, but also as we're getting older, we like to spend time with the family and the folks out here in
Sure.
Vegas so we come out here usually, I'd say the last 8 years, we're usually out here
Uh-huh.
from December to mid-March, something like that.
Okay.
Except
Okay.
when we were over in Europe with Head PE, we were over there till like Christmas Eve. That was 2018 into
Uh-huh.
19. No, 2018 into 19. We were over with Head PE. All the other guys flew home. They barely got home in time for Christmas. Me and my wife stayed over in Europe, and we actually went to Paris for
Mhm.
Christmas Eve and went to
Oh,
Barcelona
cool.
for New Year's Eve, and just kept going on a vacation after the tour.
So where at in Iowa is your place, if you don't mind me asking, what town?
Down in the southwest corner, like if you got Des Moines and Omaha,
Okay.
and then you
Okay.
got Kansas City, straight
Yep.
up. It's right
Just
down
straight
there
up.
in the southwest.
Gotcha. Yeah, when I first heard, because your guitar player at the time, refresh my memory his name, because he was from Iowa.
Yeah, actually, Jared, he's been in the band for almost 4 years now, 3 years, something like that, and he's from Des Moines. But Jesse, the one that you're thinking of, he actually was from Iowa, from a little small town, and then he actually quit the band and moved to Arizona and got married. But now he's back in the band again, and he
Yeah.
removed back to Iowa. So he's up near Storm Lake, Iowa, up in the corner, up by
Okay.
Sioux City and Sioux Falls more.
Yep. So
So
that's
he's not.
almost kind of by where I'm at a little bit of, because we have a family
You're
condo
Mason
on Lake
City?
Okoboji. Yeah, I'm in by Mason City, up just
Sweet.
north of there. But
Yeah,
I was
nice.
thinking of Brandon. That's who I was thinking of. Brandon, your
So
old
that's
guitar
even
player.
more old school. That's kind of the funny thing about Iowa is we would tour through and we would do shows, and we got a guitar player from Vegas, His name
Uh-huh.
was Brandon, and he's like, "Yeah, I grew up in the northeast corner of Iowa, and it was always so
Yeah.
boring. So I joined I think he was in the Air Force,
Uh-huh.
and when he was out of that, he moved to Vegas because he wanted more nightlife because he was young,
Yeah.
everything. So we met him in Vegas, but he was from Postville, Iowa, up in the opposite corner,
Yeah.
in the northeast corner. So when we would tour through, when he was in the band, we'd stop by his parents' house and have showers and a free place to stay, and they would make us this
Right.
really nice, like, home cooked Iowa meal. We'd sit out
Right.
back and see the birds flying by and the cornfield rolling off in the distance. It was beautiful. It was fun. And then we would
Yeah.
do a show up there in that corner. There was a band up there called Creeping Charlie back in the day, and we would do shows, and they would draw 300 or 400 people, in the middle of there'd be like a fenced in parking lot by a bar and there was nothing else around, just cornfields, and there
Uh-huh.
would be like 400 people there. I'm like, where did everybody come from? And then we would play in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and we'd play all
Yeah.
over up in that corner. So we did really, really good. So Brandon kind of introduced us to a lot of his friends, but he actually,
So you talked about some of these bands that you played with in the cornfield and that, and you guys are kind of well known for the underground scene. I mean, obviously that's where we met you guys from, and um, we started booking shows with you out in Idaho, the Idaho Falls,
yeah,
Pocatello area, and
yeah,
we
Chicks and the
actually,
840 Club and all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I don't
Chicks.
know
I
why
haven't
this
heard
just
that name.
popped in my head, but that band Cindelor used to do shows with us and you
Yep,
guys all the time. And
yep,
our buddy Troy that lives in Idaho Falls, he was like this diehard Hemlocker dude, and he would come to the
yeah.
show. I don't remember the name of that club, but it was 21 and over.
The Ritz, the
The
Ritz.
Ritz, that's exactly it. The Ritz
Yeah,
was so now that the Ritz isn't around anymore, I can tell the story. But they gave us extra
yeah,
security shirts so Troy and his buddy could come in and
yeah.
act like they
I
were
remember
security
that.
guards and watch the show.
Yeah, because they were they
Yeah.
were they were still in high school.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We got some good
Yeah,
friends up in Idaho Falls. I mean, we try to make friends everywhere we go. That's the whole thing with Hemlock too, is we
and
don't
I
go in the green room and go hide out. We don't go in the
right.
bus and stay hidden, until it's time to go on. We just hang out and make
Yeah.
friends and visit and talk shit and have a good time.
But no,
That
that's the cool thing about those shows, the underground, what I would say the underground music scene. And this was so people know what time frame we're talking about is the early mid 2000s.
yeah,
I'd say 2004, 2005. Um, and that's actually when I would say um, I love that album that you guys did at that time. I think what was it? Bleed the
probably Bleed the
Dream or that?
Dream. Yeah, Bleed the
Yeah.
Dream. Because we were doing a
And
bunch of the Jägermeister tours and that whole Jäger
exactly. Yep.
music program. We connected with
Yep.
you guys, and we were always
Yep.
I don't remember for sure because I called and tried helping out a bunch of friends, but did I put
Yep.
in a good word for you guys to become a Jaeger band too?
Yep. Yep. And that's actually the first time we met you was on Jaeger tour up in Billings, Montana.
Oh, when we were
And
with
it was,
Slayer.
yep, it was Slayer, Killswitch Engage, and Mastodon. And
Yep.
you guys opened up that show. Like,
Yeah.
and it was the night, and this is to this day, I always talk about it because it
I
was
know
the
what you're gonna
night that
say. Yeah. The
Dimebag was
Dimebag
shot.
night.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Darren, the drummer of D Knots, and I were standing next to Jeff's wife of Slayer,
Yeah.
and one I can't remember who came up, but one of the guys came up and says Dimebag was shot tonight, and we all looked like, "What the fuck is this? Is this a
Yeah.
joke type thing?" And
And that was also before everybody had smartphones and stuff, so people were
yeah,
trying
yep,
so they were telling us that Vinny and Dime were both dead, that they both got shot
yeah,
because the
yeah,
reports weren't coming in accurate and everything, and it was
yep,
just weird because, Slayer and Pantera were like bro bands.
right,
So we were so hyped up and so excited because we're on tour with Slayer. I mean, every day you get
right,
to open for Slayer, it's like winning the lottery. So the whole night, it's yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then I think it might have happened during
During
Slayer.
Slayer's performance,
Yeah.
yep,
So then it got really, really weird and really, really quiet. And then people were crying because they were getting like little quick texts, that
right,
some of them and not understanding what was going on. And then security was freaking out because they weren't sure if
yep.
I don't know. And even
And
though that happened in Ohio and we were in Montana, it still was weird because
right,
I know Slayer and Pantera were really, really close. And
yep.
It went from like the coolest night and the funnest night to one of the weirdest, just darkest, like everybody crying. And then Slayer was supposed to do the meet and greet afterwards with the fans.
Yep.
And I don't remember exactly, but I know Carrie came out, and I think that maybe
Is
was it when
Carrie and Jeff.
Carrie and Jeff
Yep.
came out, because then
Yep.
everybody else was like calling home and checking in and figuring
Yep.
out what was going on. So it's
It,
still
it was
such a
it,
bummer
it was
because
just
Dime was my favorite guitar player of all metal. He just had the style. There's more people
right.
that might know how to play faster or whatever, but Dime just had that style and that personality, and he was one of the nicest dudes. It's still a bummer.
Yeah. I just remember, like I said, standing there on stage with Darren, and we were literally next to Jeff's wife at the time.
Yeah.
And none of the band Slayer knew what was even
Yeah,
going on because
they
they
were in
were
the middle of
playing.
their set. Yeah.
Right. And I'll never forget when they came off the stage and we were standing there and they pulled Carrie aside and told him what was going on. I'll never forget that look in his face of like, are you fucking kidding me type thing.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, it went from the highest of the night because we couldn't even believe that we were even on stage with the guys of Slayer, let alone Killswitch Engage,
Yeah.
And it went from one of the highest moments of our lives to like, holy shit, this just happened, type thing.
Yeah.
And you could definitely feel that even backstage throughout the rest of the night. But that next night, we played in Idaho Falls with you guys at the Ritz then, and that's that show you were talking about with that kid.
Yeah. Okay. I
Um,
didn't remember the
and
exact year because we've played in
yep,
Idaho Falls so many times, but yeah.
yep,
Because
yeah.
then I
So
think from there, I think we went to Salt Lake. I don't remember
yep,
if you guys did Salt Lake with us, and then
yep,
we went back down to Vegas to meet up with Slayer and Killswitch
yep,
again, because we did the Vegas
yep,
show. Because I remember it
right,
being like 3 or 4 days after Diamond got shot, and all of us, of course, that's all we could talk about, and all of our friends are messaging us and everything, and so we were at the House of Blues in Vegas, and I'm standing behind Carrie's rig because the curtain in the House of Blues, and there's like 2 feet. So I'm stretching, just standing back there stretching. And I looked in the back of Carrie's rig, and he had a picture of Dime and 2 shots of Blacktooth, and
oh really,
it said this one's for you, Dime. And I was like,
uh-huh,
I started fucking crying, and I just was like, man, because it was like 3 or 4
yeah,
days after it happened, and to see that
right,
Carrie had 2 shots. And you're not supposed to have like open liquid around your rig, but because Dime was his toy, he had
yeah,
those 2 shots placed right in the rig, and I just saw that with the little photo of Dime and a little handwritten note, this one's for you,
uh-huh,
Dime. And I think every night, Carrie, when he would go up, he would do those 2 shots, one for him and one for Dime, or maybe he would dump one out. But so
yeah,
we'd go out on stage, and it was still just so unreal of a time. And
right,
but we went out there and we were on fire. We just wanted to get out there and just jam as hard as we could in tribute of Pantera and Dime and that whole deal.
right.
But
You go back to that time frame, like you said before, really the internet or before smartphones and all that was really taken off. And you guys kind of had that. That's when MySpace was really big,
yeah,
right? And
MySpace is rad.
yeah. And now, because you guys are like the king of marketing yourselves of what would you say without a record deal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you guys got more merch like Tommy Bolin of Warlock would say. They got more shit up there than I've ever seen. The
I
guy's
just saw
endorsed by
Tommy at
God
the
and every.
Yeah, I
Oh,
just saw
out in
Tommy
Nam.
at the NAMM
Yeah,
convention, and he was being so nice and funny still. But yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. They got
That's
more
how we
God. They,
stay alive on tour, is by having all the different merch, and plus
yeah,
being an artist, and I design all the stuff, that I have fun
yeah,
with the merch aspect of it all too. So we usually will try to have 5 to 6 different t-shirt designs to choose from, but then of course whatever else we can get, hoodies or
right.
jerseys or panties or hats
Yep,
or beanies or lunch boxes or skateboards or purses. I mean, we've had everything over the year,
yeah.
cologne, whatever. We have Hemlock
Hemlock.
socks, whatever, I mean, all kinds of stuff. We have the autographed drum heads and different
Yeah,
paintings. We've sold bowling pins that I painted before, but because we don't have the record label and the tour support,
right,
all of that is basically how we put gas in the gas tank on the bus to get us
right.
to the next town.
And that's what I was leading into because you guys, hats off to you because you've done it for so long by yourselves. And now in today's society, you really don't need the record deal like what you would have back when you guys were first starting out and going strong, right? So you
Yeah.
guys kind of led the forefront of that, of doing it yourselves, and just seeing, I mean, like we were just saying, on tour with Slayer. I mean, you've played with Pantera, you played with some of the
Not
bigger
Pantera,
bands.
but we did go out
Um,
with Slipknot. Pantera's still on my list now that they're doing the new version
well,
of
what
Pantera.
am I thinking of?
No, but
Because you did
we went out with Ministry and Meshuggah. We've been out with
okay,
Obituary, Machine Head, Lamb of God, Slipknot, Fear Factory, almost every
yeah,
band you can name. And it's funny
yeah,
because it's easier to name the bands we haven't opened for because I mean
right,
we even had Suicide Silence open for us before they had a record deal, and same with Papa Roach. They opened for us before they had a record deal, and
yeah,
then they get signed, and whoosh, System of a Down. We played with them before they had a record deal. It was and Snot and Machine Head and just all these bands that
yeah,
Biohazard, Soulfly, Sepultura, all the bands we grew up listening to, we've opened for, except for Metallica, Iron Maiden, Pantera, and Faith No More. Those are the ones on the
okay,
top of my head that I would love to
yeah,
open and add them to the list. I mean, there's a couple more here and there, but I mean, we've toured with Hatebreed so many times and Chimera and just all these bands that,
yeah,
and it's awesome when you get to do that stuff because you're like, I remember listening to this when we were in high school on a cassette in my brother's
right,
truck, and now we're on tour
yeah,
with Slayer and we're on tour with
yeah.
Killswitch Engage, and it's just cool. When we did those dates
What
with Mastodon that we were just talking about, they were still in a 15 passenger van with a trailer. They didn't even have a tour bus yet because they were still so new. And then,
that's right, because they were just on the Jaeger tour
yeah,
as a opening band of
they were like the
what they have,
second
like
one.
20 or 30 minutes.
Yep. 30
Yeah,
minute slot. And then they, of course, they get signed and now they're a headliner status themselves, But I just
yeah,
went to the Kerry King show 2 nights ago here in Vegas with the Kerry Project, and they had
uh-huh.
uh, the the bass player from Hell Yeah, and he was also in Blood Simple. I don't know if you remember that
Oh,
band,
yeah, yep,
Kyle Sanders, because I didn't
okay,
ever
yep,
put it all together because I've known Kyle from back in the Blood Simple days, and I know the guys from Mastodon a little bit from the Slayer tour, but I
right.
didn't realize the two dudes were brothers.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that
Troy
either.
Sanders and
Yeah,
Kyle Sanders. So the other night at the
really.
Kerry King show, I was talking to this guy just as they're hanging out, and it
Uh-huh.
wound up being their dad. So I met their dad, and I was like, no way. And he's like, my other son. I said, so you're always busy catching up with your sons if one's in
Yeah,
Mastodon and one's jam with Kerry King. And he
yeah,
said his other son is out on the road with Slipknot as a guitar tech. I was like, no way. All of your boys are out on tour all the time. That's awesome.
yeah. You, speaking of which, I went down and did a podcast with the guys in the new band of Sun Don't Shine, which is the members of Crowbar and Typo Negative, right?
I
And
haven't heard of that band yet. That's an awesome conglomeration
yeah,
of bands. That's cool because
yeah.
we've never played with Crowbar either. Now that you say that, we've met them and we were even in one of their music videos back in 1996 because we were in New
Oh, really?
Orleans, and
Uh-huh.
I want to say I think it was the Broken Glass or whatever the title of that song is. But my brother and
Yeah,
our guitar player Mike are in the pit down there, and we were just happened to be there at the right time. So we're in one of the videos, and we know the guys a little bit, but we've never opened for Crowbar. But
yeah,
we have played with Typo Negative. We get to play with them on that Jägermeister tour also.
yeah.
I think
That
that was
was with Hatebreed. Yep,
Hatebreed and Typo Negative. So that was
yep.
cool to be able to add Typo to the list of bands we. So
But I as
tell me the name of the band again now that they're doing Sun Don't
uh
Shine.
yeah, Sun Don't Shine. They have I think 2 or 3 songs up now. Their newest one that they just dropped, it's called Promise Song. Sounds a lot like to me anyway, it sounds a lot like old school Soundgarden.
Cool.
Um but
If
anyway, I was
anybody
down
can
there.
sing like Chris Cornell, they're good in my book. That guy's one of the best vocalists.
Yeah, Kenny's vocals on it is just fucking insane. It's really, really good. But
Sweet.
when I was down there podcasting with them, I had the whole band, both Todd and Kenny and Johnny and then Kurt all together. And I brought up Hemlock. I said, last time I seen Crowbar actually play was in Salt Lake City, and I went down there and played a show up in Idaho Falls with Hemlock, I think the night before.
Sweet.
And you specifically told me, because we were going down there to see Crowbar and Propane, And you're like, you got to tell the guys of Propane and Crowbar that I've been dying to do a show with both of them.
Yeah.
So if you talk to Kirk or you talk to, I can't remember the guy of
We've toured with
Propane.
we've toured with
And
Propane. We're good friends with them now. That
yeah,
was another
and
huge one that was awesome because they don't tour in the US very much, and they're one of our favorite bands,
yeah,
because we had already started Hemlock and we were going, and Biohazard and Sepultura were huge early
yeah,
influences. Pantera and Slayer were huge early influences. And of course, old school Metallica and Megadeth. But then we get to see this band. We go to see Testament, and then Green Jello, which they were
yeah,
Green Jello back then before it was Green Jelly. And then this
yeah,
band opened up for him named Propane, and we were like, oh man, it's our new favorite band. I think it might have been
yeah,
1994 or 95. I
yeah,
don't know. So we were already going, but they were a huge, just these guys are awesome, and we were pretty similar in style already. So we always said, oh, wouldn't it be so cool to tour with Propane? And they did
yeah,
really good in the US for a few years, but then they started
yeah,
concentrating on Europe a bunch. And now that's usually where all they tour over there. So we got to
yeah.
tour with them. We did a bus share, and we got to actually ride
Oh,
on the
nice.
bus. Because over in Europe, I don't know if you've been over there on tour, but they have the big 2-story double-decker buses. And
Uh-huh.
what it is 3 bands usually share one bus because they're expensive to rent. But there's 24 bunk beds up top, and
Oh
then
shit.
downstairs there's like a lounge, and then it comes with the
Yeah.
driver and the restroom and a little kitchenette area or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So it was like our first tour in Europe was like boot camp training for us. I think it
All
was
right.
probably I think it was '07. I think that we went with Propane. Might have been 2006. I don't remember, but it was awesome. And then of course when you're on the tour bus, you've got nothing but hours to sit and hang out. So we got to become friends with Gary from Propane, and that was when
Yeah.
Klimchuk and Klinger were in the band, and JC was their drummer. So it was awesome. Great
Yeah.
times. Got to just go over there and rock in front of as many Propane fans as we could because we didn't know anybody in Europe, at that
Right.
point. So then we went back and did a second tour with them again. I want to say in 2012, I believe. I don't know. I headbang a lot, so my years might be off, but that was an awesome one. And by then they had Marshall and Adam in the band. And it was just, Gary was just a good dude and always treated us Hemlockers, like friends from the very, very
Sure.
get-go. So, and then now that we've gone back, we actually did some more shows with Propane in Budapest, and then we were in Germany. So then, long story short, we become extra good friends with Gary and his wife. And last time me and my wife were on a road trip down through Florida, he's like, come over and spend the night. So I'm like, this is awesome. We're like friends with Gary from Propane.
Yeah.
We went out to dinner,
I
and he bought I was trying to take the bill, but he bought us our dinner and everything. And I'm like, I never would have thought when we saw this band opening for Green Jelly and Testament years ago that I'd be spending the night, eating vegan blueberry cheesecake at this nice
yeah.
restaurant with Gary
But
from Propane. So I
I'm glad
emailed him
I could
just like
make that
4 days ago.
I'm glad I can make that connection work because you gave me a piece of paper with your number and
Yeah,
contact info, and you said, "Hey, give this to the guy of
yeah,
Propane
Propane, yeah.
and tell him to get a hold of me. I've been dying to do a show with these guys."
And
And
Gary's one of the nicest dudes. I've met Kirk a couple of times, but I don't know him. Like, we're not like besties. And I know his wife a little bit too. But I would say that me and Gary are homies. It's awesome to be
right,
able to spend that time. And he's like, anytime you want. So he put us on a couple more shows with Propane. We were in Hamburg, Germany, and over in Bischofswerda, Germany in 2023. So we played with them a couple. Oh, yeah. And then I forgot, we actually played with them last summer on 2 epic shows in Germany. One was in Besenfeld, Germany for the Harry's Full Metal Party Festival, and Propane
yeah,
headlined Friday night, and Hemlock headlined Saturday night on the festival. And then each of us had like 8 bands before us. So
uh,
we went a day early on purpose so we could go hang out and watch Propane and visit.
yeah,
So we played the same festival, but we weren't on the exact same day, but we hung out and
all
just
right,
got to party and hang. But then at the end of our tour, we met back up with them, and we got to play Sticky Fingers Festival with them over in Beinlock, Germany. And it was a bunch of bands throughout the day. And then we had a good time slot. I want to say maybe at like 7 o'clock at night or something.
uh-huh,
And then Dust Bolt, those are a really good metal band from Germany. They were after us,
okay,
and then Propane, and then Red Fang. And man, it was just this whole ocean of people, of Germans just
Yeah.
going hard and jumping, and it was awesome. So that was a good show. So yeah, we played with Propane again last summer, but thank you very
Nice.
much for putting in a good word with us.
Yeah. I'm glad I could help out with that,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we do. We help each other out, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, Hemlock and D-Knots became buddies just straight out of the gate from the beginning.
Yeah, it was a fun time. I still talk to Jer and Darren and them guys every once in a while. It's kind of hard where I'm 2,000 miles away now, but
Yeah.
I still
Yeah,
keep in
yeah.
contact with them, and they're still doing their thing out there and
Yeah, yeah.
playing and all that. And
We played with them because I think that Jeremiah had his son jamming with them.
yeah,
That
yep,
was but I almost think that might have been before the pandemic. I don't know. That's also throws off
yeah,
all the years because you're like, I don't remember if it was 2 years ago
right,
or 6 years ago because there's
right.
that weird gap in the middle where nobody was allowed to do anything.
So speaking of which, I know I've seen some posts in that you're getting ready to go out again here soon. What's your
Yeah.
plans here coming up? What's the year looking like for you?
Well, we started in 1993, so that means that 2023 was our 30-year anniversary. So that
Yeah,
year, and also we weren't able to tour much during the crazy years of,
sure.
so we did a little bit in 22, but it was still just kind of vibing, and not all the clubs were even back open, and some of them never
Right.
reopened again. So in 2023, I was like, all right, I'm gonna book us like crazy because now that we get a chance to tour, we're gonna go nuts. So that year was
Right.
bonkers. We did 134 shows in 1 year.
Yeah.
So, and we went all down through Florida. We went everywhere. We did
Yeah.
100 in the US, everywhere. Portland, Maine, Bangor, Maine, Portland, Oregon, all the way up into Seattle, down into San Diego, all the way over to Fort Lauderdale, everywhere in between, Texas, all of it.
Yeah.
So that year was bonkers. And then the dudes were like, all right, we can't go that hard this year, which was last year. So last year we only did 52 shows, which is still a
Uh-huh.
lot of shows for most
Right.
bands. But compared to the year before, it was like a third, of what
Right.
we had done. So this year it's probably going to be more like 52 shows as well, just
Uh-huh.
because everybody does have more responsibilities the older we
Sure.
get, they gotta bills and shit like that. So
Yeah. I
we
I get it, man. It
and
makes it
working around
tough
their schedules and stuff. Yeah, it gets harder and harder when you're kids. You're like, all right, let's jump in the van and go for 3 months, But now we got the
right.
bus, and the guys have regular schedules that we have to work around, and everybody's married, almost married, and three of the four of us are married. But it just, it's harder as you get older. But that's why I pushed extra, extra crazy for 2023 because I'm like, if we're gonna
Sure.
do it, we're gonna do it. 134
Right.
shows. So we're gonna go out in April. And last summer we were over in Europe, and we're good friends with the band from Hungary named Don Gatto. If
Uh-huh.
anybody listening wants to check out a really rad up tempo, like melodic hardcore, just kind of like Sick of It All and Madball and along those lines, Propane style. They even have Gary from Propane guest
Oh, nice.
vocal on one of their songs, but they
Uh-huh.
have more melody mixed into the guitar riffs, and they're just some of the nicest dudes ever. So they helped us out. They booked us like 7 shows in Hungary last summer with them and put us in front of their fans. And we brought them over at the tail end of our 2023 tour. We brought them over to the US, but we had already done all of the West, everywhere from Chicago West. So we
Uh-huh.
took them to New York with us, and we had a couple of good shows out in Syracuse and out in Albany, New York. And but I told them, I was like, when you guys come back again, I want to take you to the West Coast
Yeah.
because that's where Hemlock is from. So I want you to play in
Sure.
front of our Vegas diehards. I love New York, but we just honestly don't draw as big as we do, as of course, in Las Vegas, because that's our
Right.
stomping grounds.
Right.
So Don Gatto's coming over with us for 10 shows, and we're going to take him to Colorado Springs. We're going to take him down through New Mexico into Texas, then back over through Arizona, and then we're going to the last show with them is going to be a big show in Las Vegas
Oh, nice.
on April 19th. So a big hometown show. And then they all fly back to Hungary. And then we're going to do another like 5 or 6 shows to work our way back to Iowa.
Oh, cool.
So
I'm actually going out to Vegas in March for my birthday. We're going out for
cool.
the Danzig Down
I
show.
might be there if we're still in town. I just emailed my buddy that's playing drums for Chromax, and they're on that show. So I
Oh,
might
are they?
I
Okay.
might be there, but I don't know if we're gonna have to head back to Iowa by then or what. But
Yeah. March 21st. It's a
yeah,
Friday. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. So they're playing at
wh-
but it's
Andrew
already sold
Andrew
out.
Sp- I don't know if it is or
Oh, I
not.
thought that's what you
Andrew
said. I couldn't
Spalding.
hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Andrew
down. It's
Spalding.
Danzig and down, and I think Abbott or Abbott, and then
Chromags.
Chromax.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I just emailed him last night saying, "Hey, I might see you in March if we're still here. So maybe I'll see you. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if we're gonna be here or not, but I'll let you know if we
Yeah.
are."
Andrew Spalding's coming out from Florida and meeting us out there, and
Sweet.
who owns Corpse Paints Records, and the one that actually has the Sun Don't Shine. That's his label that they're on,
Cool.
along with Root Brain. And you may know Andrew. He was the merch guy for Typo, I believe, on that Jaeger tour.
So I probably did meet him, but I'd have to
Yeah,
see him to remember. I
yeah.
don't recognize the name, but
But anyway,
we were
yeah.
probably
So I'll be
sitting
in your
next to him
neck.
all night slinging merch, and then we always had the Jaeger shirts too and all that stuff. It was
Yeah,
cool. Jaeger
yeah.
matchbooks and all that, just giving all the
Or the
swag.
lighters.
Yeah, the lighters were awesome.
Uh, but with that, Chad, are you? I got to know. Are you guys on TikTok at all?
Yes.
Well, it's not under Hemlock though, is it?
So, well, I'm trying to figure it out because I'm 47 years old, and I'm not gonna
Yeah.
try to hide the fact I'm not a young whippersnapper that knows how to do all this social media, and our old guitar player used to run the TikTok, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I've ever logged into it, and now it's at wait, Twitter is the X, right? Yeah, Twitter.
Yep.
See, that's how caveman I am right now. I
Well, because
usually do the Facebook, and so we kind of split it up. I usually do the Facebook. Our other guitar player was doing the Twitter and the TikTok, but he's not in the
uh-huh.
band anymore because Jezzy is back. So I'm trying to figure out Instagram, TikTok, and X all at the same time, so that way I can try to
Gotcha.
like keep up on it. But I usually do the Facebook, and used to me and my wife used to run the MySpace. MySpace was really awesome and set up for bands really cool because it was like a
Right.
magazine profile page that you could like have
Right.
your bio and everything. I
Yep.
like it. I thought it was better for the music industry. Facebook, you can reach more people and connect with more, but now so many people are getting so angry on the internet that a lot of people are
Yeah.
leaving Facebook, and I'm like, I don't know where to keep up, you know. So we do
So
have
my big thing for my podcast has been TikTok. And it's blown up really well for me. That's where I actually share a lot of my stuff and that.
so I
And
need to
it's
just
worked
give
really.
you our login so you can help us run our TikTok. Because
I'm
that's
doing it
the other
for
thing. I talked to Slipknot's manager like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I saw him when we were down in California, and I just was talking to him and I was asking him about trying to do a few more shows with Slipknot because back in the day, Jägermeister was the gateway to get us on those
Yep,
big shows. So,
right.
but I was talking to Corey and I was like, we would love to jam with Slipknot again, and our name is known, but with us not having a record label, it's not as traditional because usually a
Right.
manager will call or an agent will call. But
Yep.
I'm like, we Slipknot fans like Hemlock, and we can hold our own and put on a good show. We'll play a 20-minute opening set or a half-hour opening set, whatever we can. Because there's a few shows overseas that I was asking him about, and he was like, I really admire your drive and your hustle, and you guys always are working hard. And I know you're a great band, but realistically, got to get them social media numbers up. And that goes back to me being a caveman. I'm like, man, I don't know. And then
Yeah.
there's another side to it to where all these bands that are trying to come up, they buy these fake numbers to make their social media look bigger. So they might have 150,000 followers on their social media or
Yeah.
500,000 followers, but 80% of them aren't real. So then when you put out a post, it's reaching 80% fake bot likes,
Right.
and you're only
Right.
reaching like 10% of your real ones because they only limit, like, it's so stupid how they regulate and they limit
Right.
and all that with the algorithms.
Yep.
So, but he did tell us we need to get our social media numbers up. So I'm like, I don't know. Do I need to go and like copy and paste a message and just be like, hey, if you like Hatebreed and you like Slipknot, please like our
Yeah.
page, and or do I take out an ad and buy an ad that tries to reach more people? But I don't know. It's all just a
And that's
crazy.
actually what I've done is because I'll do little clips and
Yeah,
I'll put them
yeah.
up on TikTok, and then I'll pay the $5 or $10 to
reach more
So it
out.
gets it, yeah, and that's actually what has
Maybe you
helped
could
a
help me
ton
put
for me.
together something so we can get some
But
more TikTok followers.
yeah,
But to answer your question, I know you asked me about 5 minutes ago.
yeah,
If we have a TikTok, which I think we do, it's Hemlock World, because
okay,
hemlock is usually taken because of a paper company or a
yeah,
tree service, because hemlock
sure,
is actually a poisonous root or like
okay,
tree, that.
yeah,
So it's usually taken by somebody else. So we started out with our web pages, hemlockworld.com, and then we
yeah,
had our Facebook Hemlock World and our Twitter Hemlock World, which now X Hemlock World.
sure,
So I actually did my first post on X just like 5 days ago. So I'm trying to like
uh-huh,
familiarize myself with that. But I've actually done maybe
mm,
like 10 posts on Instagram too. So I'm basically taking on more workload because the
right,
other guys that used to help with it in the band aren't in the band anymore. So I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know when I was
yeah,
15 years old, plugging in a bass guitar and jamming in my mom's garage, that I was going to need to be a social media extraordinaire. And it's a bummer to hear that that's what people look at,
yeah,
whether you're a good band or not. And
right,
that's so stupid because you could be a kick-ass band or a really hard-working band. Like, we always have just
right,
been diehard. Well, we're like, we'll put in the work, we'll do whatever. I mean, I'll go hand out flyers still, even after 32 years. I took a
yeah,
thousand flyers to that Kerry King show and handed them out myself. And people like, what are you doing? You're in the band. And
yeah,
I'm like, I'm going old school and I'm talking to
yeah,
people and handing out flyers. And you connect more with people in real life
right,
than just a little post where you just swipe right by.
right,
And
yeah,
but that so many record labels and so many managers, that's all they go to, is because it's an easy, lazy way to do research on a
right,
band. And I'm like,
yeah,
so if you have money to buy these ads or to buy these numbers, you might get a better show, even if your band isn't good or if you don't have the work ethic behind you.
yeah,
So I don't know. It's all just a popularity contest, which I get, business is business. But Hemlock's
right,
name is known from us being around for 32 years and from touring relentlessly. It's
right,
just a matter of trying to convince these bigwigs that our numbers are real and we haven't bought 100,000 fake likes or whatever.
right.
So, but if you have your
Uh,
phone, look on real quick. Are you on your phone or on your laptop?
no, I'm on my laptop now,
Now
but
I'm
I'll take a
curious.
look here in a
Look to
minute
see
of,
if Hemlock World is
yeah,
on TikTok. Will
yeah,
you look at?
I'll have to look here. But I just wanted to have you announce what you're on so people know where to go
Yeah,
follow you
yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. And
All Hemlock World. That way we can connect, and then
uh,
maybe we could put together a little video clip of us, one of our big shows where we were playing with propane or opening for corn or something. We could put together a little video clip. Because I
yep,
don't know,
that's what
what do
it
you do?
is.
Like a
It's
little 5 second reel and then put
yeah,
something out on TikTok, like,
yeah.
hey, follow us, or yeah, yeah.
So it's Hemlock_world is what it is. So make sure you go follow. There you go, Chad. There's your own
Everybody go on TikTok, Hemlock underscore world.
Hemlock_world. There you go. Yeah, and so because I was gonna do a little video clip to let people know, hey, I was doing a podcast with you today,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
actually gonna go TikTok live and kind of broadcast it that way. But I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's known for this kind of stuff, and I can't imagine him where he doesn't have a TikTok page. But now we know the story behind it.
Now
But
you know the story. So now we have to do a second interview in a couple of weeks
yeah,
and we'll go live on
well,
TikTok. I
you
got
know
enough
what? If
stories and enough.
actually, what we should do if you're in Vegas when I come out there for my birthday, let's meet up and we'll do one in person.
You bring your gear with you?
Yeah, I have a little handheld deal that I got, and I could do a because I do them at the racetrack, and that I got a little
Oh, rad.
handheld that has the mics and everything. So we'll just do a
Yeah,
quick one there in person.
absolutely. If
We'll
I'm
meet up
there,
at the
let's
show,
do
and
it.
yeah. But with that being said, Chad, I'll get you out of here on this, and I appreciate your time and good
It's
catching up
fun.
with you, and it's
It's
good
fun to
seeing your
catch
wife
up
again.
and
And
yeah, it's fun to catch up and reminisce with you and everything. I'm
yeah,
sorry about the glitches on the internet, but
no, it
you know
all happens.
how we roll. I appreciate you brought up some good
Mm,
stories and memories that I haven't thought of in a while. We're always trying to
yeah,
push, and with the April tour coming up, and then I'm working
yeah,
on stuff in September, and then I'm booking Europe in October and November because we don't have a booking agent still either, which is
yeah,
crazy. So I'm always
yeah,
like,
because you do it all on your own.
yeah,
Yeah,
I wish that I could get somebody to help us do it. I would gladly pay somebody, but I don't want to pay somebody to do a worse job than what
yeah,
I could do, because we've had that before. We had somebody try to help and they're like, "Hey, I got you $500." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "We usually get triple that there or whatever it
yeah,
is." I mean, it just, that's
yeah,
hypothetical, but it just is funny because I'm like, why would I pay somebody to do a worse job?
Right.
But it's getting to the point to where now I'm booking us in. I'm actually working on some
Yeah.
stuff for Hawaii. I'm working on some stuff for Australia, and then we'll see if those come to light. But the United States and Europe alone, I'm like, that's a full-time job, let alone
Yeah.
being in the band and driving the bus and stage
Right.
managing and all that. But
Yeah.
I love it still. As you can tell, I'm laughing and smiling. I'm 47 and my brain thinks I'm 20, so who cares? I love
That's
it.
all that matters. At the end of the day, you're just having a good time and enjoying life still, and that's what it's all about. That's why I got into doing this. I was like, I want to reminisce, like how we were talking about,
Yeah.
of being with these guys and going around, and the love of the music. And in the summer when I do my racing podcast and stuff, I just love doing that. I love talking with people and that, and so it's been nice. But yeah, I look forward to hopefully seeing you in Vegas. And with that, I appreciate your time. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to the guys that helped me get this going and all that. And of course, Tom's fishing and guiding service out there in Nebraska and South Dakota and that. And then, of course, the guys that helped me with my editing, Nick, and of course, Chris Cox, gaming out of Des Moines there, that does a lot for me. And without them guys doing some stuff for me, this stuff wouldn't be happening. So, Chad, again, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. It's good seeing you, and
I'm glad
hopefully
that
see you in Vegas.
I'm glad that you reached out to me, and I appreciate all the years of friendship, my
Yeah,
brother. Awesome.
not a
That's
problem.
crazy. It goes
I'll-
by so fast, so we got to do it while we can.
right? Yeah, I appreciate your time, man.
No, thank you. Appreciate you. I'll see you in Vegas.
Get ready to crank up the volume because you're about to enter the realm of rebels and rock stars. Unleashing the thunder from down under the stage. We're diving deep with the deviance of melody, rhythm, and chaos. Now push up your sleeves and get ready to dive into the pit. It's time for Sitting with the Slimy Bastards, Music Edition.